Hi everyone, this is Selvi. Today's topic is sprint review. Sprint review is one of the Scrum events. And this episode I am going to discuss about the details with the help of two sections. First section I am going to talk about inspect. Second section I am going to talk about adapt. So let's get into the first section. Inspect. What are we trying to inspect and why are we inspecting and what is the outcome of the inspect? These three questions, if we are able to answer, then we are done with the first part of the review. What is inspect means? Inspect means we are trying to review or we are trying to inspect something and ensure whether whatever we expected is available or not, and if not available we will share our feedback. If it is available also, we will share our feedback that everything is fine. That is the general inspect process, right? Here what are we trying to inspect? We are trying to inspect or we are inspecting product increment. What is product increment means? Product increment means we have a sprint process, right? We have a sprint, that is a time boxed event. And in this sprint what we are doing? We create, on the very first day we created a sprint goal. And to achieve that sprint goal, whatever the work items that we need, we prepared it as a sprint backlog. And as a team, we committed on the sprint goal. And during the sprint execution, we started implementing all these work items which are available in the sprint backlog. Now we are on the last day of the sprint where this sprint review event is happening. So this is what sprint mechanism is all about, right? So now at the last day, as our sprint execution is done, we have achieved our sprint goal. Sometimes we may not be able to achieve the sprint goal also, which we call it as spillover of the work items. Let's consider we have implemented most of the functionalities, whatever we have committed. Now, those implemented functionalities, we call it as an increment, product increment. Product means what? Product means anything that delivers a value is a product, right? This increment is something that is going to contribute that entire product. Many increments together at the end of every sprint will finally become the whole product what we are looking for. But every sprint we have a goal that we need to achieve, and that becomes a product increment. Now we are on the last day of the sprint. We are doing the sprint review event. What the stakeholders are going to inspect? Stakeholders are going to inspect the product review that got delivered or achieved as part of this sprint that is getting completed today, because we are on the last day of the sprint, right? Now who all are going to inspect? Stakeholders are going to inspect. For what? Stakeholders are going to inspect and provide their feedback about this product increment. What can be the feedback mean here? Feedback here means they will be inspecting the product increment and they can share the feedback like everything is working as per our expectation, no gaps identified, no new items that we are able to identify as an additional enhancement, everything is fine. That can also be one thing. What is the other thing? No, we expected few more things, but those things are missing. Let's add all those points here, and those gaps need to be fixed. So there is a gap, and those gaps, whatever they have identified, those items will be turned into the work items in the product backlog. Because somewhere we need an work item to implement those feedback points, right? Those gaps need to be fixed. For fixing those gaps, we will create some new work items. Okay, who will be creating those work items? Those work items will be created by the product owner, but now the feedback will be captured mostly by the Scrum Master as part of this event. Second thing is, there is no gap, but we wanted some more enhancements because now the business is looking for those kind of additional options as well. So those feedback also are captured as part of work items in the product backlog. So in general, whatever the feedback that is coming from the stakeholders, that gets captured as part of this meeting itself by the Scrum Master. and later Scrum Master should sit with product owner and try to list down all the points, whatever that has been shared by the stakeholders, and then turning those actions, turning those points into actions will be taken care by product owner by adding all those points into work items in the product backlog, and then discussing with the product management team and the business to find the priority in which they are looking those work items. This will be taken care of by the product owner after this after this review meeting. So now we talked about one section, which is inspect. So in a nutshell, what happens in this inspect? Product increment gets inspected by the stakeholders, and the outcome of this inspection process is the feedback that is getting shared by the stakeholders. These feedback, whatever the points that are getting shared by the stakeholders, are captured by the Scrum Master, and eventually these points will be turned into the work items in the product backlog. So this is the first thing. So now we know what is happening in this inspect section. But how generally it happens? What happens here? How they will be able to share the feedback? Now, entire team is going to present the working product, that is the product increment that they have prepared or they have implemented. Most of the team members or few team members or the whole team, however feasible, they will share the work that they are going to demonstrate to the stakeholders, the working product that they will be showcasing to the stakeholders. And by showcasing that product increment, stakeholders will be able to understand what are the things that they have expected and whether all those points are available or not, and then they will be able to share the feedback about this product increment. So this is how this inspect section works in the sprint review event. What is the adapt section? Adapt section, as the name suggests, we are going to adapt to the changes in our product backlog. How? One already we discussed. What is that? Whatever the feedback that we are going to receive as part of the inspect, we are going to make those feedback points into work items in the product backlog. This is one way of adapting to the changes. The second part is we are going to review the plan or review the work items that we are going to pick up in the upcoming sprints. Are we going to go through each and every work item? May not be possible because of the time. What we will be doing? We will be discussing about the high level work items or goals that we are going to target in the upcoming sprints. That will give the clarity to the stakeholders what are the things that they can expect from the upcoming sprints, which means at least 2 to 3 sprints, what team is going to target as their sprint goal. Now, if they feel certain requirements or certain work items are no more valid, they will share that feedback in this meeting. And if there are any priority changes and they feel that something else need to be taken care instead of these work items, they will be sharing that as well. So if there are any requirement changes or any invalid requirements or anything that needs to be changed as part of the work item, they will be sharing that feedback, which will be again made as an point or made as an update in the product backlog. And if there is any priority changes, those reprioritization points also taken into consideration in the product backlog. So this is adapting to the changes. So this is the second section of the sprint review event. One more thing I just mentioned about sprint goal. What is sprint goal? Sprint goal means on the very first day of the sprint, that is the sprint planning event, as a team we will align to the common goal that can be achieved as part of the sprint, and to achieve this goal, whatever the work items that are required, and those items will be taken from the product backlog and become a part of the sprint backlog, and team will be implementing those work items as part of the sprint execution. Now the sprint goal is also discussed in this inspection process. How we will be discussing that? Because we set a target. Now, it is also important when we are inspecting the work items that are implemented, we should also inspect whether we have achieved the target or not, right? So, maybe for example, let's take a simple sprint goal. Sprint goal is implementing user management related functionalities. Let's take very simple user management related functionalities, some stories like creation, modification of user details, deletion. Okay, out of this, how much we have achieved? So we will go through that sprint goal when we are trying to explain and showcase our product increment. So now stakeholders will get an understanding, okay, this was the sprint goal and there is a gap in the sprint goal which we have targeted, that should also be taken in the upcoming sprints. For example, if we have not achieved the deletion related user story, there is a gap. Only we have a creation of users and modification of users. So now in the whole sprint goal, we have not achieved completely. There is a gap. Now stakeholders also can understand very clearly, okay, there is a gap. Now as per the priority, deletion is important or not, whether it needs to be taken care immediately or not. That kind of priority related discussions, priority related decisions that can be made based on this sprint goal achievement. Now we understood. I will quickly come at the end as well. I will be explaining in nutshell again what will be the two steps in inspect and adapt. Before that, there are certain things that we think that will happen in the sprint review, which is not the right thing. What are the things? We think that it is just a demo meeting. It is just a demo meeting where product owner will be accepting the user stories or the work items, and team will be just demoing those work items that they have picked up as part of the sprint. And the second thing is, there is one more thing that usually as part of sprint review, what we think is like, it's just we need to prepare a PowerPoint presentation. We should be discussing about whatever we have implemented. It's most like sharing the status and quickly give a kind of demo. No, it is, those things are not sprint review. Sprint review means we should be very clear about, one thing is what we have done in our current sprint that we are closing today, that we need to ensure how well we can inspect our product increment that we have prepared. Second thing is about the future sprints, how we can adapt to the current changes in our future sprints with the help of modifying the changes or updating the changes in the product backlog. So these 2 points need to be very, very clear. Why we are doing this sprint review? Let's understand about that as well. I will make a separate episode about best practices that we need to follow. But this episode is going to talk about how are we doing, why are we doing this sprint review. But in best practices section, I will be explaining about what are the things that we can do as a Scrum Master, as a product owner, to have a very, very good sprint review events. Now, let's try to understand about this topic. Why are we doing this? First thing, we are gaining lot of confidence as a team when we are showcasing our product increment, what we have developed. This is going to really improve team morale, team confidence. Definitely, it is going to boost team's confidence for sure. And next one is, at that moment itself, we are able to see what is the feedback that we are receiving from our stakeholders, whether whatever they expected we have implemented or not, or there are gaps, or what else we can enhance based on the current trend. All those things we are able to understand. And third one is, we are reviewing not only the completed sprints product increment, we are also reviewing the upcoming sprints backlog items so that we are aligned with the business vision. We are ensuring whatever we aligned as a team, that these are the priority items, these are the requirements we need to implement, is the same from the business as well, or we are somewhere lagging, or we are not up to the information. So as a product owner, as a scrum master, as a team member, everyone is getting aligned to the same understanding what a stakeholder is holding. So this is the right opportunity for that. And we are also trying to add and improvise our product, because new backlog items are getting generated, right? Because of this review, we are trying to understand, okay, these all things can be enhanced, these all things can be reprioritized. So based on that, we are able to add more work items in the product backlog. We are also able to reprioritize based on the current situation. That is also possible. And with this, we can ensure that, okay, whatever the sprint goal that we have targeted, we are able to express to the stakeholders how much we have achieved as a product increment. That is also feasible with the help of this particular event. That is also one reason why we are having this particular event. So these are the reasons why we have sprint review. Again, in a nutshell, I'm going to explain, because we always think sprint review means demonstrating the working software. No, we should also talk about both inspect and adapt. Inspecting the product increment that we have completed or prepared as part of our sprint execution, and inspect the sprint goal that we have set on the very first day of our sprint. Align with the stakeholders, get their feedback, capture the feedback, and put it as part of our product backlog work items. Second part is all about adapting those changes in the product backlog. Whatever the things, whatever the points or feedback that we have received as part of the inspect process of the product increment, capture those points and add it as part of the work items in the product backlog. Similarly, review the upcoming sprints work items that we are planning, and ensure that if something needs to be changed, something needs to be removed, something needs to be reprioritized, based on all those feedback, update those changes in the product backlog. So please remember two keywords in sprint review: inspect and adapt. Hopefully this episode would have helped you in understanding what is sprint review process and what is sprint review event. Thanks everyone for listening. Happy learning and stay tuned.